Rise and grind, guys. My name is Tetsyumi, and welcome back to some more Disgaea RPG Should You Summon. And before we get into it, Bold Trend is really busting our balls here. I mean, we have had the ReZero collab, straight into the La Pucelle collab, straight into first year anniversary, and now straight into the Attack on Titan collab, which we're going to be talking about today, which is just... oh my god. I mean, I get it, don't get me wrong. I understand why they're doing this. It's because obviously it's first year anniversary. They want to bring as much hype as they can, especially for new players, because this realistically is the time they want to attract the most new players to their game. So they're having, crazy characters, crazy good banners back to back, just so they can, get their account started, and also so the players who've been playing can actually, spend money on good characters and good banners. But wow, I mean, we have had, it been like a month and a half, maybe 2 months of just back-to-back really good banners and characters. I sincerely pray for all the wallets out there who have had to be ripped open to spend money on this game. It is just good luck to anyone. But like I said, yeah, today we're going to be talking about the Attack on Titan collab. We got Mikasa and we got Levi. Strangely enough, it's only Mikasa and Levi. There's no, there's no Eren, there's no... I don't know who else you'd really get, like maybe Armin, but yeah, it is just Mikasa and Levi, and my little fan theory, my headcanon here, is because I feel like they're probably gonna, at some point, bring the Attack on Titan collab back. I mean, especially with the hype that the final season, part Infinity, is gonna be going on for. So, they're most likely gonna eventually do an update to this collab, and, maybe bring in Eren, but honestly, that's just my own headcanon. I have absolutely nothing to back that up. So for now, we just got Mikasa and Levi, and we are going to be talking about them today. But before we do, real quick, I do want to say, yeah, there was no... Oh, I just punched my bed. Sorry, there was no Should You Summon for the first year anniversary, and I do apologize about that. In my opinion, the characters weren't, like, anything insane. They were good, but, it was just really not enough for me to make a Should You Summon video on, although I would have if I could have had time. But the reason I didn't have time is because, for me, I am, in finals week. This week for me is finals week. I had to write 2 essays in basically like 3 days. I have been swamped with work, swamped with school, so not work, like school work for school, because I don't work during the school year. But anyway, so I have been very swamped trying to get all my schoolwork done for the summer. So, yeah, there was no Should You Summon for first year anniversary, sorry about that, but I did want to come back on here for a Should You Summon for the Attack on Titan collab, because this is realistically probably more hype than the, characters for the first year anniversary. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump straight into it, take a look at these 2 characters, starting off with Mikasa. So, Mikasa is a humanoid sword forte knight ally. Her stats are looking on the lower end of the high tier stats, but they're still pretty good. At HP, we got 125. At attack, we got 45. At defense, 35. Intelligence, 29. Resistance, 40. And speed, 57. Her attributes are 0% towards fire and star, and 25% towards water and wind. For resistances, we have 75% towards poison, 75% towards sleep, 25% towards paralysis, and 25% towards forget. And moving on to her abilities, we get If You Can't Fight, You Can't Win. Humanoid allies attack and defense plus 15%. At A+1, we get Blade's Sharpness. All allies, if she crits, base stats except HP plus 40% for 2 turns. So obviously her initial crit rate is only 4%, right? But she has a skill down here. Her level 200 skill gives herself an increased crit rate of 40% for 1 turn. So if you take that into account, and even, looking a bit past here, if you can get this ability, looking at this, she's giving herself another increased crit rate of 10%, her crit rate is already shooting up to past 50%, so then, taking back a look at this NE+1 skill, this is actually a really good skill, because you're pretty much guaranteed to give everyone a stat increase of, 40% for 2 turns. I don't know if this can proc multiple times throughout a battle. I would imagine it could just every time she crits, she gives everyone, again, that increased 40%. If that is true, then this is still a really good ability, considering, that she is actually actively boosting her crit rate to make this happen. And then at NE+5, we get Perfect Body Control, Sword Equipped Self, Speed plus 20%, so if you have her equipped with a sword, she's giving herself an increased speed of 20%, which is, again, another really useful ability. And then, looking at her NE+7, we get The World is Cruel, all allies at the start of battle, crit rate plus 10% for 3 turns, again, just adding on to make this NE+1 skill all the more better. And moving on to her skills, we get Prodigy of Corpse 104. So this is an AoE attack and also an AoE debuff, lowering the enemy's raid counter, barrier counter, lowering the enemy's barrier counter by 1. And if you are in a raid and the barrier count is 0, you're giving your party an attack of 20 to 30%, which is really good. Obviously, that only comes into effect if you're doing a raid, but this barrier count effect, comes into play whenever, so still not a bad ability, seeing as it's an AoE for level 1 attack. At level 200, we get Determination. This is, again, her buff on herself, giving her an attack increase of 50 to 60%, which is absolutely insane for just a normal, not any skill. And also giving her an increased crit rate of 40% for 1 turn. So, again, just a really good self-buff skill. And then at A+3, we get All in My Way Shall Die, a single target attack, and also a single target buff on herself, giving herself increased speed of plus 30%. Now, quickly going through her magic spells, we get Mastery 4, Ice, just a single target attack, Mastery 9, Armor Break, single target debuff, lowering the enemy's defense by 20 to 35%. Mastery 15, we get Braveheart, an allied buff, increasing the attack by 20 to 30%, and then pretty much the same thing, just getting stronger. I'll be honest, guys, I think Mikasa is a very solid unit. Can't really tell if she's meant to be more of a raid unit or more of just kind of a support attack unit, but either way, I think she is really good. I'm going to go ahead and throw her in the S tier here. I was a little bit torn between S tier and A tier, but I think she definitely has the qualities that deserve her to be put in the S tier here. But in all honesty, yeah, I probably do need to do a little bit of a restructuring of this tier list, but I'll probably do that sometime off camera, maybe if I'm not too lazy. But let's go over some of the strong points of Mikasa. Obviously, her abilities are actually quite good. I mean, we have here all humanoid allies, which kind of sucks that it's only humanoid allies, but honestly, if you just build her with maybe a raid team or an all-humanoid team, then that's going to be really useful because it's giving everyone an attack and defense of plus 15%. Overall, a very solid leader ability. And then, obviously, her main attraction, in my opinion, if she crits base stats except HP plus 40%. You see a lot of characters, a lot of older characters, they do something like, if they crit, get a stat increase, but then the character doesn't actually do anything to, increase their crit rate. But here, Mikasa is not only increasing her crit rate, she's giving herself crazy buffs. Like here, she's giving herself an attack of plus 50 to 60%, as well as increased crit rate of 40%. Granted, it's only 1 turn, but if you actually link that up with her NE+1 ability, she's then further giving all allies, including herself, increased stats except HP for 2 turns by 40%, which is still really good. And on top of that, if you put her in a raid team, if the boss has, no barrier counter, you're giving the party an attack, otherwise you're just lowering the raid, which is still really good. She's giving herself here increased speed, she's giving someone on the enemy team lower defense, she's giving anyone on the team increased attack. She is really good. She's a very good attack / minimal support character, giving a lot of pretty good attack debuffs, or just regular buffs, and some basic stat buffs. So in my opinion, that definitely earned her a spot on the S tier. I would give her a spot on the God tier if her base stats weren't just a little bit short of, what I consider to be God tier stats, because obviously we have 45 for attack, 125 for HP. Those are really good, but in my opinion, if you want to just elevate her a little bit higher, I want to see around 50 attack and maybe around 130 to 135 HP. But honestly, still, I think this character is very, very good. So, moving on to Levi. Levi is a humanoid sword forte rook ally. Looking at his stats, they're a little bit higher than Mikasa's, which you love to see. We got HP at 130, attack at 49, defense at 40, intelligence at 29, resistance at 30, and speed at 56. So again, his main 2 attributes are going to be his HP and attack, looking pretty good. Moving on to his attributes, we got 25% towards fire and star, 0% towards water and wind. For resistances, we got 50% across the board at poison, paralysis, sleep, and forget. Moving on to his abilities, we have Leader Skill, Bond of Comrades, humanoid allies, attack and HP plus 15%, which pretty similar to Mikasa's Leader Skill, where I think hers was attack and defense. Levi's is attack and HP. And A+1, we get Choice Without Regrets. Self at the start of battle, your attack is 80%, and the effect gradually decreases by 20% for 1 turn, until the lower limit is 20%. So, a little bit confusing, but basically what this is you are going to be giving yourself an attack increase of 80%, which is huge, and then every subsequent turn it is going to be lowered by 20% until you get to 20%, where it'll just stay there. So, basically, if you take away nothing else from this, you will always have at the least a 20% attack increase, which is insane. And obviously, in the beginning of the battle, you're going to have 80% until it slowly diminishes down to 20%. But having just a base always 20% attack increase is really, really good. Very similar to how helpful Mikasa's ability is here. It gives me the similar vibes, just how actually useful this could be. Moving on to NE+5, we get Strict Leadership. If all humanoids are in the party, special skill damage is plus 70%, which, again, another really, really good ability. Kind of limiting you a little bit on what kind of party you're going to set up, but if you have, Mikasa and Levi in an all-humanoid party, possibly a raid party, then they're just going to be buffing themselves and the team that much more. And then at N+7, we have Commander's Innocence. Self, if HP is full at the start of turn, attack and defense is plus 40% for 1 turn. So again, another really useful skill. Not sure how plausible this is going to be to actually get off a lot in normal games, but if you do have some sort of really good support character with maybe a medium healing or even a lesser healing, then this could still be a really useful ability that you could proc pretty constantly. Moving on to his skills, we get at level 1, Mankind's Strongest Soldier, an AoE attack and also a party buff, giving everyone in your party a speed increase of plus 3%. At level 200, we get Quick Cleaning, another party buff, giving every ally in your party debuff effect halved, so basically, if you have a debuff, it's going to half the time of that debuff, and also giving himself a buff on the speed gauge of plus 750, which I'm a little bit torn on this ability. I kind of wish it was better. I mean, in my opinion, I wish it was either like enemy, debuff effect cancelled, or at the very least, debuff effect halved with maybe a lesser healing or something like that, but all in all, it's still good to have just a halved debuff effect, especially if maybe some of your support doesn't have anything like that and it's just healing, so it's not all bad. And then at skills, at NE+3, we get the Titan Subjugation, another single target attack and also a single target buff on himself, giving himself lower defense and resistance by 20% for 1 turn, but also skill power plus 10% for an indefinite amount of turns. I don't know how many turns, probably greater than 1 though. So again, not very bad. His skills are a little bit worse than Mikasa's in my opinion, just because they're a little bit less helpful in terms of either support or buffing himself, but still not terrible. Moving on to his magic spells, at Mastery 4, we get Star, which is just a single target attack. Mastery 9, we get Braveheart, which is a single ally buff, giving them an increased attack of 20 to 35%. Mastery 15, we get Speed Down, a single target attack, lowering the enemy's speed by 20 to 35%, and then just their stronger variants as you go down. I'll be honest, I was pretty torn at first as to where to put Levi, but I think I made a decision, and I think Levi definitely solidly deserves to go in the S tier, and here's why. He's not doing as much as Mikasa, obviously. Mikasa, in my opinion, is a bit more well-rounded of a character, doing a little bit more to help the entire team than just kind of buff herself and stuff like that. She's obviously giving herself, attack increase and stuff like that, but she's also, doing a little bit to help the team, like lowering barrier counts on a raid. If it is a raid, you're giving the party an attack increase. Obviously, she's giving everyone basic stat increase over here with her first ability. So overall, I think she's doing just a teensy tiny bit more than Levi, but where Levi excels way better than Mikasa is Levi is just gonna hit like an absolute truck. I mean, not only is Levi's attack 49, which I think is, 4 points higher? Yeah, 4 points higher than Mikasa's, which, already is pretty good. 49 attack is really good, but he's also at NE+1, and even his NE+5, he's giving himself like 80% attack increase, which goes down to 20% in time, but also 70% increased skill damage, which is gonna be insane. And not only that, he's obviously, possibly giving himself more skill damage with this skill here. He does have to lower his defensive resistance to get it, but I think still that is a pretty good trade-off, seeing as he's gonna be hitting with like 80% more power in any of his skills. And on top of that, obviously, he still has his mastery skills, or his magic skills, where he, is giving everyone in the party an attack increase, or anyone on the enemy party a speed decrease. So honestly, he's still not a bad character, and obviously, with these 2 skills right here, he is going to be hitting especially hard. Oh, actually, even with this one, he's giving himself possibly an attack and defense increase of 40% again. Granted, this one is probably going to be a lot harder to pull off, but it's still there as an option, so in my opinion, he is definitely going to be a hard hitter, really good to probably pair with Mikasa, especially on a raid team, I might add, because Mikasa needs to not only lower the enemy's barrier count, if the enemy's barrier is just gone, she's giving everyone on the party an attack increase, and then, Levi here can really capitalize off that with the amount of sheer damage he's going to be doing, so In my opinion, I'm going to put both of these guys on the S tier in my tier list. But again, like I said in the beginning of the video, I definitely do need to do a little bit of restructuring of this tier list. I can't promise I'm going to do that anytime soon, but just know this tier list is a little bit wonky. I do want to say that the characters I've been recently putting on it, I think, deserve to go where they go. But maybe some of these older characters, like Fuka, maybe. Is that Fuka? I forgot her name. I don't know. But maybe, you know, they can either be shifted around a little bit. But, you know, just know that. And I do think, you know, Levi and Mikasa solidly deserve to go in the S tier, if not higher. Possibly lower. Let me know in the comments, but you know how it is. And now we get to talk about, should you guys actually summon for Mikasa and Levi? So, first things first, I'm going to do a little bit something new, talk about their banner a little bit, because these two characters are going to be going in a platinum banner separately at first, and then they're going to be going together in a free-to-play banner. So basically, if you have paid currency, you can either summon on Mikasa or Levi, or both. They're just in a separate banner, so keep that in mind. Don't know how good the platinum banner is. I would assume it's pretty good, but in all honesty, I'm pretty sure the two characters you really want most out of that banner are gonna be either Mikasa or Levi. I mean, I don't know, because the banner is obviously not out yet, but I assume there's gonna be no insane units like Killia or anyone like that, so you are most likely only going to be summoning on Mikasa or Levi, but that's still not terrible. And then for their together banner, I think it is largely the same, except, you know, this time you obviously have a chance of getting both of them and not only pulling, you know, one or the other. So I don't really know too much about the banner. As far as I know, the banner is not super insane, because these characters are really the only main selling point of the banner. But with that being said, I still don't think it's going to be a bad banner, you know, bad value banner to summon on, especially if you want these characters, because obviously with anything Attack on Titan, there is so much hype surrounding it that, you know, the fan base is just going to summon on anything, right? But, you know, with that being said, I still think these two characters alone are pretty good to put in a banner, you know, going to be pretty useful for you. So if you maybe have the gems to spend, if you have some spare gems somehow from the bombardment of, you know, collabs and anniversary banners we've been getting, then I would suggest, you know, if you have space on the team, these units are going to be really good. So if you want them, summon on them. You know, pretty much like I say with everything, is if you want the units, definitely summon on them. If you really don't, or you don't really have a space in your team, then don't. It's not that hard. I hope and I think that they're going to be coming back in the future. I would assume they will be, but don't quote me on that, because obviously I don't know. Collabs, especially in, you know, gacha games, are kind of seen more as like a collectible thing, if nothing else, where, you know, the characters could be good, they could be shit, but people summon on them just because then they have like a full maxed account, so that they can like sell it later down the line or something like that. I don't know, I don't really do that. But, you know, that's how it is. So again, if you like the characters, summon on them. That's pretty much all I can say. And with that being said, that's gonna be it from me. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe for the thanks for watching. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know in the comments, by the way, if you guys think they deserve to be in here, what you think of the units, all that stuff. And yeah, like I said, see you in the next one. Peace.